I'm Joyce, and this is Nikki, and welcome to Diamond Dog Training YouTube channel. What we're going to talk about is a mat exercise. I think this is a really practical exercise that everyone can work with their dogs. You're having visitors, and the doorbell rings or the people walk in, and your dog is all over them jumping. Your dog can learn to sit on the mat and not move while the people walk in the door. Or let's say you love to exercise, and every time you start to exercise and you're doing some exercises on the floor, your dog is all over you giving loves and kisses. So a great way to have your dog lie on the mat while you exercise is this little mat exercise, okay? And that's because your dog wants to be on the mat. It's not that you're forcing them. There's no forcefulness here. Your dog wants to be there. What do you use for a mat? It can be any size, it can be small, it can be large. It just needs to have a backing. The bath mat itself does not slide. I have some chicken bits in my pocket, and Nikki loves chicken. But if I just reach down and feed her on the mat, she may come up or she may jump up. So I'm going to mark this behavior with a click, just a little click, right? This is about the third episode of Nikki and I working with this mat. The first one, Nikki didn't even want to come near the mat, and I waited till her foot touched the edge of it, and then I clicked and fed her. And then 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, until she finally learned that this is a good thing. Why do I use a click? I use the click because it's easier for the dog to learn. You don't have to use it. You can just feed her on the mat. Make sure you get your treats all the way down. But when I click when she's on the mat with her elbows down, and I feed her when she's on the mat with her elbows down, it helps her to learn. Try to click before you bend down so that you're not cueing your dog that the treat is coming. Okay? And I'm giving her little bits, right? And I'm going to do that with tiny bits, but half a dozen pieces. My goal is to get her to believe that being on this mat's the greatest thing in the world. Good. And I'm going to feed her. And I'm going to do a couple more. Good. Okay. And then I'm going to toss one off because I want her to go off the mat so she can learn how to come back on. Take it. So when I toss a treat off, I don't click. I simply let her go and get the treat. And then I wait for her to come back. And then I start all over again. I can use your dog food. Your dog likes dog food. Try to set this up in a quiet area when there is not too much commotion. And just take a few extra minutes with your dog food. That way you won't use extra calories. Click first and then feed, right? Click first and then feed. Now, after I have clicked at least half a dozen pieces, I'm going to toss one off. I don't click because I don't want her to think going out there is where I want her. So I'm just going to toss it, take it. She goes and gets it, and then she'll come back. When she comes back, now I can click as soon as she comes back to the mat, which is what I did in the beginning, or I can wait until she lies down. Once your dog understands, then they'll start to offer more behaviors. Like instead of standing, they'll sit. Instead of sitting, they'll lie down. And then finally, until the elbows go to the ground. When I'm sure that she's going to come back, and I always bet $500 that my dog's going to do it before I add a word to it. I never add the cue until my dog understands the behavior. And remember, these are tiny bits. I mean, these are tiny little smidgens that sometimes you can't even hardly see because they don't need a lot. Yes, Nikki's a small dog. She's not a Labrador. She thinks she is. She loves her food. Take it. This time, I'm going to say, mat. And that word she heard as she was coming back to the mat. She was already in the process of coming back. So that's when I add the cue. That way, she understands the behavior, and I'm just adding a word to something she's already doing. Good. If you don't want to use the click, you can always use a word. Yes. And that can be just as effective as the click. The next step is for me to move. I need to move so that my dog understands that we're not just going to stand here all day. What happens when I move? I'm not going to go too far the first time. Just tell her that I can move. And she stayed there, right? And I'm going to reward her. I can give her a jackpot for that one. Just means that she chose to stay, so I am going to reward her. This is like 5 or 6 tiny, tiny little bits of pieces. I'm not telling her to stay. I am just walking around. And Nicky is learning to remain in position. Why? Because she wants to be there. No one forced her. No one used a shock collar or anything to tell her that she must stay there, or it was punishment if she left it. All it is Nicky and I working together with a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. We're well on our way to teaching Nicky for me to go over toward the door and come back. Finally, to tap on the door, all the things that build up to finally having someone walk through the front door. When you finish with a session, you want to make sure that you pick up the mat so that Nicky or your dog cannot come back and sit on the mat when you are not there to reward them. Finch? Good girl. I hope you enjoyed our episode. If you did, do a little like for Nicky. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please leave me some comments so I know if you are pleased with the episode and suggestions for future episodes. We hope to see you next week. Bye. Nicky, say hi. Say bye. You say bye? Go ahead. Good girl. We're working on it. Okay.